Alright, so in this video I'm going to go over the quadratic formula. So if we look here, we have the quadratic formula is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So this is going to be something, if you have not already memorized it, you're going to want to memorize this. And the steps for this is going to be to write the equation in standard form. So that's ax squared plus bx plus c. And then identify what a, b, and c are. Once you have those, you can substitute these values into this formula, and then you simply just have to simplify. So I'm going to go ahead and start with question 4 so that I can do all of these steps with you. So step 1 is to write it in standard form. So I'm going to subtract 4x to the other side, and I get negative 2x squared minus x equals negative 15. And I need to get all of it to one side and get a 0 on this side. So I'm going to add 15. Well, 15 cannot be added with these, so I just get negative 2x squared minus x plus 15 equals 0. So let me just double check my work. I subtracted the 4x squared, got negative x. I added the 15, and I got that. So I need to identify a, b, and c. So a is negative 2 because that's what's in front of the x squared, b is negative 1 because that's what's in front of the x, and c is 15. So if I substitute that into my equation, I have negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And now I just plug in these values. So negative b is just b goes here, a goes here, and c goes here. Now I need to simplify. So what's a negative times a negative? Well, that gives me a positive. 1 squared is 1. A negative times a negative is positive, so that's 8. And then I have 8 times 15. So 8 times 15 is, let's see, 120. So I get 1 plus 120, sorry. And then on bottom I get negative 4. So simplifying this further, I get 1 plus or minus the square root of 121 over negative 4. So I know that the square root of 121 is 11, so I would have 1 plus or minus 11 over negative 4. So to actually solve this or simplify this further, I take 1 plus 11 is 12 over 4, and 1 minus 11 is negative 10 over 4. So my two answers here are going to be 3 because this reduces to be 3. And here is going to be negative 5 over 2. So my two solutions are x equals 3 and x equals negative 5 over 2. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to our next example. So our next example is question number 9. And again, I need to start by writing this in standard form where everything is moved to the other side. So if I subtract 4, 7 and 4 can be combined, and I get negative 8x squared. I'm going to put plus 0x and then plus 3. The reason I put a 0x here is there is no x term, and that helps me remember that when I identify my a, b, and c, that b is going to be 0. So a is negative 8, b is 0, and c is 3. Now to substitute this into our formula, I always write the formula with parentheses. So that way when I substitute in my value, or my values, I don't make any errors with the sign. So b goes here, a goes here, and c is 3. So now I simplify. Negative 0 is just 0. And I get plus or minus the square root. 0 squared is 0. Negative times a negative is a positive. And 4 times 8 is 32. Times 3 is, let's see, that was 96. So that would be positive 96. And on the bottom I have a negative 16. So 0 plus or minus, do I need to write the 0 in front? I like to write it because it helps me keep track of what I'm doing. The square root of 96 over negative 16. the square root of 96 is. So 4 square root of 6 is what the square root of 96 is. So 0 plus or minus 4 square root of 6 over negative 16. So let's simplify this. So I can drop the 0 now because now I know I have positive 4 square root of 6 over 16 and negative 4 square root of 6 over negative 16. So if I reduce these, 4 goes into 16 4 times. So I'm going to get my final answer of negative square root of 6 over 4. I just moved the negative to the top because I think it looks funny if we have a negative in the bottom. And here, a negative and a negative make a positive. 4 goes into 16 4 times, so I get the square root of 6 over 4. Another way that I could write this is plus or minus the square root of the square root of 6 over 4. So either way is correct. Well, good luck and happy solving by quadratic formula. If you need to rewatch this video, rewatch it, rewind it, slow it down, whatever you need. Good luck.